Hello and welcome everyone to a new episode of Tawhid and the spiritual unity of the three principles. Today it's a really special episode because we have two amazing guests with us, and the topic I've been looking forward to it because the topic today is beyond similarities and the differences of Islam and Judaism. And we couldn't have thought of two amazing guests with us today, Yael Abramson from Israel and 𝘉𝘌𝘈𝘠𝘖𝘕𝘋 Kauser, all the way from the UK. So good to have you with us today. And, I've been pondering about today's topic, and I really liked the word beyond similarities because the wording of the title was a bit different. But when I was about to write it, I thought of adding beyond similarities and differences because we don't want to make this a show about this is my religion and this is my religion, but we want to make this about what's beyond the words and the scripture. Because to me, at some point in my life, when I came across the three principles understanding, I really start seeing that it's really not about the word, the exact words, because it could mean something different to everybody. And you might misread it or misunderstand the word, but what's beyond the word is actually the essence of where the word came from in the first place. So this is the place where we want all to be looking at and pointing at today. I actually remember I've been asked by Joe Bailey last year on March. Well, it's almost a year now, on his podcast series called the Thriving in the Eye of Hurricane podcast, and he asked me to come there and share on seeing beyond our differences. And so when I was about to write today's topic, I remembered that conversation because actually I was just sharing about I shared about the Dalai Lama when he shared about each religion is like every a different kind of herb of tea, and it's not about the herb, but it's about the water that brings that herb to life. And so like in his words, I understood that it's about the spirituality within each religion that really matters the most and brings the religion to life. And actually, this is where all religions meet. When I look deeper at it, I see that every religion out there is pointing at the same truth with different words. And we don't want to focus on the words here because it might lead us astray and getting lost depending on our levels of consciousness. But we want to go deeper here and really see what's beyond the words and where we all meet. Because we are really truly, just as Rumi said in his quote, we are not drop in the ocean, we are the whole ocean in a drop. So I'll pass it on to Harry.
Thanks, Omar.
And
your comment about beyond was really profound for me as well, because that's what we're looking for, is something beyond the norm, beyond the way the people are seeing the Islam and Judaism. And for myself, the highlight of that statement is when you see Yael and Ruby, they come from two totally different backgrounds. Yael is from Israel. I've seen her grow in the three principle movement from not knowing so much, keep growing, and to the wonderful feeling that she has now. She represented the queer community in a fairly recent 3P conference. Was a speaker there. She's the head of the Hebrew 3P community movement. And the feeling that she has compared to Ruby, they're different feelings, but they're the same feeling. It's kind of like Omar and I. We both come from different worlds, but Omar says we see the similarities rather than the differences between each other. And Ruby is a married Muslim woman teaching marriages, married to a younger man, I believe, and again, the feeling. So when you see the feeling of people who are spiritually understanding oneness, all the differences and all the religions and everything just washes away. And it's just as true for myself as I'm working with the Tawhid, but also with Back to the Fitra, the addiction department. I just want to read this quote by Dr. 𝘉𝘌𝘠𝘋 𝘐𝘚𝘓, a psychiatrist and a client of mine. Thanks for, we did a 14-minute tribute to Sid's 50th anniversary. And it said, "Thank you so much for sharing this. I just loved it. I remain so inspired by the work that you're doing and marvel still at how this Jewish guy and these Muslim women somehow come together and work together beautifully," with a big heart on it. That's what it's about, guys. We're here to work together. And within that togetherness, we know that the three principles has an answer to everything. And it's what Omar is suggesting, the feeling. And we want to enjoy the unique flavor of each of these beautiful women. And I don't mind saying that because they're both beautiful in their own beautiful way. And I'm going to start asking a question first, and to get you, Yael, I want you to explain to people what Israel, the country, means to a Jewish person. And then Ruby, I would like you to explain to us what Mecca means to a Muslim woman or human being. And you can, of course, go wherever you want, by the way. But go ahead, Yael.
Well, first, I want to say thank you to Omar and Harry for inviting me here. Yeah, this topic is dear to my heart, and thank you to Ruby, and I'm looking forward to hearing you. The Israel for the Jewish people. What I think it means is a place to come back home, place where a state that was created or recreated for Jews to come together after the Holocaust, and a place where many Jews around the world long to come back to. In Passover, in the last, I think it's the last, in the last paragraph of the Haggadah, which people read in Passover, it says, "L'shana haba'a b'Yerushalayim." So next year, we should be all together in Jerusalem. When I say that, there's a feeling because I feel that Jerusalem is a longing of a feeling to come back home. So this is a physical place, which myself today, I have different ideas of this place. I feel it's a place, I have different ideas, but when you ask what Jewish people feel about it, that's what I feel that the general idea is. Yeah, that's my answer.
Okay. How about you, Ruby, with Mecca?
Yeah, Mecca for every Muslim is a place that is a place of pilgrimage, and one of the 5 pillars in Islam is to actually visit Mecca if you can afford it, to make this special visit to pay your homage to Allah. It's a lot of people think that, you know, they look at they call it the black box, and oh, they worship with the black box, but it's not. It's a place to worship God, Allah, and this is a special moment, a special time to really connect with Allah. It's a place where every color, language, doesn't matter where you're from, every corner of the earth, the people meet together. So in that place, they are all one. There is no difference. Doesn't matter whether you're from Australia, Canada, doesn't matter. They're all together. They all speak different languages, but they're all spiritually together as one, worshipping as one to the one. So Mecca is a very, very beautiful place where it allows a togetherness, a unity of one. So there is no difference between anybody, because especially on Hajj, everyone wears the same robe. The men wear the same robe. They're not coming in their own different colors of clothes or anything. It's all white. So it's just unity. It's proclaiming unity and worshiping the one. So it's beautiful act that God has ordained, Allah has ordained for Muslims. That's the simple answer I've tried to sort of get.
It seems to be a similar feeling. Both places are sacred to the people. It's an indigenous phrase, sacred, meaning a place of power, spiritual power. I'm just going to read this quickly. Abraham is traditionally considered to be the first Jew and to have made a covenant with God, because Judaism, Christianity, and Islam all recognize Abraham as their first prophet. They are also called the Abrahamic religions. They all come from Abraham and his sons. Ishmael, prophet and ancestor of Muhammad, Islam, and Isaac, the ancestor of the Jews, and Jesus. And then they all recognize Moses as a prophet. They all believe in one God. They each believe in an afterlife. They all have a holy book, and they all have rituals and festivals. And just as a side note, Al-Ghazali, who I kind of like, has had a big influence on Jewish thinking. So there has been influences on both sides. I just bring that up. Now you guys can just talk about what you'd like to do. And Yael, you could start with that story that you just told us before, just to get a feeling of how you feel. If you want.
Yeah.
You don't have to.
No, before when Omar was speaking and he said something about these different religions or different books that point to truth. So what I've been seeing in the last few years, also from a newer book that is just about, I guess, maybe 50 years old on earth, called the Knowledge Book. It puts together all religions. And from reading and being involved in that, I understood Judaism more. I didn't really understand it before. I grew up very religious. I grew up religious, traditional. And I didn't understand the physical things I have to do in order to connect. I didn't understand that. I knew that there was an essence. I knew that there was something that people are trying to point me to. But it was, for me, it was missing in all the physical acts and things I had to do in order to get to somewhere. So when we say it's all pointing from truth, so I feel these all come from truth. The beyond is that space, that awareness, God, Allah, something that I, as a human, could only feel as true. So I feel it comes from truth. All of these ways of being, they come from truth. And to me, there's only one. And I didn't think this way in the past. I didn't know that there was a way for me to think like this. I didn't know that it was safe for me to think or to have an opinion that whether you're a Jew or Arab, it doesn't matter. It hurts me the same when there are murders and bombs go off. To me, it doesn't matter where they are. And this is why I'm so grateful for this space to share how I see it. A few months ago, I was watching the news. I don't really watch the news a lot because there's not too much truth for me there. But there was a part of the news that was showing in a difference of 10 seconds that someone was murdered here and someone was murdered here. And I was around a few people and they said, isn't it horrible that, soldiers are being killed? And I was puzzled. There was something inside me that didn't understand. What do you mean that the Jewish soldiers are being killed? There are human beings that are being killed for no, and I don't want to say for no reason, because I'm not getting into I'm not a political person. I'm a human being that sees that. An end of a life. Not because someone got to a certain age. Maybe because it's hard for us to love everyone. I don't know. And it's happening right now in the country where I live in. It's still happening. And I was just sharing with Harry and Omar that I was walking home on Friday and I was just walking into a supermarket and I asked the clerks, how you doing? And there were two young men there and I asked, what do you mean, how you doing? Like, you don't know what's going on? And they were crying. They said there were little kids being killed by your government. And I was taken aback because I was like, what, my government? How do, what do I do? Because this is how I look. This is where I was born into. The only thing I can do is stand there and cry with them and ask more questions and listen and be with them. Because that's how I feel. And when friends that I grew up with ask me, well, you can't love everyone. Or can you love an Arab like you love your brother? Don't tell me that's true. So I say, why not? If someone can make a choice to hate or dislike someone, and I see that we're all here to be exactly who we are, but we're all connected to one source, and we all have different flavors through different religions, to come back to ourselves, to our true nature. So why can't I love everyone? That's my freedom. So
How about you, Ruby? How do you see that, what she was talking about? It sounds to me like she's just talking about being a good Muslim, to be honest, in the pure form, not in the political form.
Yeah, I mean, I really hear that, and I kind of resonate with that, because we grew up in a world where we are given labels of our status, labels of hierarchy, labels of you're a Muslim, you're a Jew, you're a Christian. All these are labels, even though there is a meaning behind them. But then we grow up believing the labels as who we are. But that's not who we are. That's not who we really are. I am beyond the hijab that I wear. I am beyond the label that I have as a Muslim. I am beyond. I see my sister and brother, whether they are Muslim or not Muslim. I see them as sister and brother. I see the soldier that goes to war, not as a label, he's a Christian or American or Canadian. I see that soldier as the same as me. The soul that that soldier has within is the same as me. So if that soldier is non-Muslim, my heart goes out, because he's about to kill somebody else, but he's about to kill another human being. And that's pain, because soul to soul, we are the same, so we think that they are different and we want to kill because they are different. No, they're not. They're not. Because every creation from the Creator is soul, mind, truth. This is all creation from the Creator. We are all creation from one source. So how can we look at our sister and brother in a different way? Sorry about that. Switch out. Sorry about that. And so the point I want to make is that when I saw truth so deep, good few years ago, I saw humanity without the labels. I saw humanity as one. And this kind of was the same as our prophet, peace be upon him. So he didn't see any differences. He welcomed non-Christians and many other faiths. And there was no hatred. And so it's the labels that we carry that we have to uncover to see truth. And that is the only way where you can connect to another human being so deeply that you understand beyond their appearance, beyond their acts of violence. I'm not saying I'm condoning the violence, but you're seeing why they're behaving in that way. So there is no hatred for any human being when you're standing in a place of truth and harmony and peace and love, which is all one. It's all one. So I just love what, Yael said, because that just reminds me of what I have talked about long before I came across this truth. I've been on this journey for a long, long time. And I used to work as a community cohesion officer, bringing people together. And despite their differences, despite their similarity, it was just trying to bring unity. And I've always been on this journey. And I'm still here, saying the same thing, but deeper, much, much deeper. Very, very blessed to be here as part of the oneness that we all are.
That's where the answer lies. Go ahead, Omar, sorry.
Yeah, thank you, Yael and Robina, for what we just shared. It really touched me, and I think it's a really important sharing for people to hear, in the hope that they will see beyond what's being said. And like what you just shared, Robina, it reminded me of something that I realized about, that we are not really special because of our identity, our religions, etc. What makes us special is our actions, our love, and seeing beyond our differences and similarities. Like I really came to the point to see that all religions, literally all of them, or most of them, they lead us to surrender, and basically surrendering leads to selflessness, and that is the goal of faith. And all religions, in my opinion, all religions, revelation leads to a human being beyond selfishness, beyond ego, beyond arrogance, beyond pride, beyond hatred. And that is the path to God's divine presence. The path to God is beyond the self, beyond the ego.
And it must include forgiveness. It has to include forgiveness, or it isn't pure.
How can you be selfless without being forgiving? I mean, selflessness is being in that space where forgiveness, love, understanding, all these beautiful feelings emerge from. I mean, it's like They are all words, but they are pointing at the same space where all these beautiful feelings come from, to me.
Can I share something that comes up from? No,
Sure.
there's in all the religions, there's prayer. There's the idea, or the, you know, in the Jewish tradition, 3 times a day, in Islam 5 times a day, in Christianity I'm not so sure, but maybe it's not, maybe, I don't know, Sunday, I know Sunday is a day, I'm not sure. I know that there's Islam and Judaism. And the way I grew up praying is saying certain blessings, and maybe it's asking, maybe it's requesting, maybe it's thanking. There's all kind of different ways of prayer. But there's something in prayer that I used to do this, like when we pray, right? We look up, right? We look to God, we look to Allah, we look to something greater. And I remember sitting, there are a few things that happened to me the first time I heard about this understanding. But when I sat in those first 3 days, I knew that if every human being knew this, there would be peace. You know, because
guaranteed peace.
Guaranteed. I grew up with buses blowing up next to me, things happening. But this was different, because this wasn't external. It was internal. It was I think it was about a year ago that something very, there was something very happy that happened, something that happened that really moved me. And I did this again in my way. I prayed. And in the moment that I did this, I realized, oh my God, I got it wrong. It's not there. It's here. The prayer, the time we spend once, 5, it's not in order to pray to all the religions. They're pointing to point within, inside, here. The change doesn't come there. People don't have to change. We don't do that outside. That's what we've been doing. It's here. To me, that's where the prayer points to. That's where the oneness is. That's where we come from, truth. We come from inside. And that thing that I was doing, I was like, oh my, what? Oh. It just, it's inside. And that was fascinating, because in that moment, I realized that it's before words that take us to truth. It's that beyond energy, beauty, God, Allah, that has this divine power to create everything, gave us so many gifts in so many ways to point us to inside, and never left us, and will never leave us, and will try again and again, any way possible, to point us to unity. We're all brothers and sisters. and anyone that tries to prove it different. Proving different. Not a feeling of love, not a feeling of truth. So if I have to prove myself to someone that what I'm saying is true, it goes away from truth. So if you're interested, if you're curious, listen to inside, to the feeling. It will let you know, it will tell you everything.
I love what you just shared. Yeah, it reminded me of a quote by Rumi. And he once said, "I searched for God and found only myself. I searched for myself and found only God." Beautiful. Beautiful. And like talking about praying, this reminded me of another beautiful quote by Søren Kierkegaard. I don't know if I pronounced it correctly, but he says that the function of prayer is not to influence God, but rather to change the nature of the one who prays. It's really tempting to, you know, to pray to God as if it will change anything if we do like this or that. But the change actually happens from within. It's really within us where we could experience the ultimate truth, the one truth.
As a fact, not as a belief or an opinion, or even someone else's religious leader's opinion, but as a fact within ourselves. It has to be a fact, or it's not real.
Absolutely.
When you were talking, Yael, what came to me in the Jewish faith, I have studied it almost not at all. I've not been interested in it, but I was a little interested in the Kabbalah because it's more mystical, and that's more my range of the way I like to taste things. And they different. It has for 𝘉𝑡𝑒𝑟 the great nothingness. And when I was hearing you talk, I could feel what they meant by the great nothingness. And in the indigenous world, they call it the great mystery. And in the Muslim world, I've heard the word greater intelligence. And what has surprised me is that the mystical, see, the world seems to be really keyed in on land, wars, money, etc. But there's a whole mystical side to it. And I've been surprised, Omar, how that there are great mystical teachers besides the Sufi, but primarily from the Sufis. And Arabi has caught my interest and stuff. How do you see that, Ruby? That the mystical side connecting to the metaphysical connecting to the physical reality that we live in?
Yeah, I just want to say something about the prayer. When our Prophet, peace be upon him, you know, when he sort of was in his time spreading the word of Islam, and prayer was not the first thing that was ordained. That came 20 years later. that came much after. It didn't start off with prayer. It started off with the oneness, which is the first pillar of Islam, which means La ilaha illallah. There is no God but Allah. This was the first message that was spread. Prayer came afterwards. So if we look at, because prayer is one of the other pillars of the 5 pillars, and the first pillar, to me, after understanding the spiritual truth, is that I see the first pillar so clearly that the first part is there is no God. Well, to me, that is looking at, well, the illusion, something that doesn't exist. The illusion, that we make up. We make up the illusion that somebody has caused our feeling. Somebody is causing our psychological pain. So we're kind of looking outwards all the time to blame, like, of our looking at the illusion. So the first part is there is no God. So basically what we're doing is idolatry. It's like, oh, okay, so somebody is responsible for causing my feeling. And so that's the illusion that we're believing to be true. And then the second part is there is no God but Allah. And that is a psychological reality that actually exists. That which is the truth. And so this is far beyond the most important truth to be seen as an insight than, I would say, any of the other pillars. Because without this, the prayer is meaningless. The fasting's meaningless. The Hajj is meaningless, because you're looking somewhere else for a feeling of tranquility, peace. And a lot of people go to Mecca so many times to get that peace, but they don't realize they can have it in a second. A lot of people go to Mecca, can be feeling not peaceful at all. I've heard many people who have not been feeling peaceful in Mecca. And so it's not the place that's going to give you that feeling of peace. It's like Yael is saying, it's within. It's within. I can be standing in prayer, submitting to the one. But if I'm in the illusion, I'm not connected. They're just words pouring out my mouth. It's like, as an act. But if I'm in the present moment and I'm really seeing where my feelings are coming from in that moment, I am so connected. And I do have moments like that. And this is so beautiful ever since I've seen truth. I wasn't like this before. It's like I'm either in the past or in the future. It's like this, but never here. And so I'm kind of aware. So one of my insights, like right at the beginning, wow, I'm aware. I become aware. Like, oh, I'm thinking about what happened yesterday, or I'm in the future thinking about what I'm going to do tomorrow. Oh, I've not been here, which is the most important place to be, which is here in the present moment, connected to the oneness. And so this is so beautiful. This is so beautiful that I've been able to see the first pillar of Islam so deeply that it blows my mind when I see it. It really does. And I just wish that, wow, just like, it has such a deep meaning now than I ever saw it before. And it's a psychological illusion.
I'd like to describe a situation where the psychological illusion and the three principles provide the harmony in this very complicated matter. Because as I'm sitting in both bubbles, I find with the Jewish people, I can't talk about certain things. They're just too emotionally charged and opinionated. And I find exactly the same thing with the Muslim people, that they're too emotionally charged with it. And with what both Yael and Ruby are talking about with this oneness, you can sit in that. You may overstep your boundaries, especially if you have a big mouth like I have. But you check yourself. You learn. You see where you can go and navigate in this incredibly emotionally charged individual illusion that people have. And when you can do that, you learn about yourself, because the problem is every time I come against an emotionally charged person, even though it's an inside out experience, and if I get caught up in it because I'm a human being who has thoughts and opinions, and the three principles head me towards the great nothingness, the oneness, the beauty, the love, the compassion. And I'll tell you the truth, the calmness. Because if you can't sit in this emotionally charged thing talking, they don't want to talk about it. They want to have an angry, defiant opinion. And there's no room on both sides for that to happen. Yet Omar and I have done this program for 3 years, and we've never talked about it because we're not interested in political, getting a discussion, a debate going on. We came together with one common goal, to try and educate people in the beauty of the three principles, the beauty of the Muslim faith, the beauty of the Jewish faith, the beauty of the indigenous faith, the Christian faith. But if us is 3P, it's not just theoretical. Oneness is not a theory. Omar was correct. It's an action. And the action is for us to be able to sit in this very, very volatile situation with a calm mind.
Totally agree, Harry. And that's the very message that I give to my clients as a coach, you know, who want to talk about the marital problems and who want to see that the husband is the issue and the in-laws are an issue. And it's like something is an issue, but really the answer is within. The answer is within. And that's the place where they come to me looking for answers, telling them what to do. But that's not the answer. That's not the pathway, because this is not a doing. This is seeing. This is seeing truth insightfully. We don't have to do anything to see truth, because the moment we start to do, we ain't going to see it, because it's the seeing in the moment, which is a beautiful gift that we receive. And wow, what a beautiful gift it is. Because that gift of insight is going to help you see that there is only truth. And anything that we're making up is not even real, is not existent, but we get so caught in it. I get caught in it every day. And they're just looking for peace. I've just had a client who emailed me and she's saying, I want peace. And I have a quote from the Quran, right, which I just want to share. And it says that, and of his signs is that he has created you wives, that you may find tranquility in them. And he placed between you love and mercy. Between you, we place between you love and mercy. So what is that? Between a husband and wife, love and mercy. It's not like you're waiting for love from your husband. You already have love. And you've got oceans of it. You've got tons of it. But they don't see that it's already there. They've got access to it. And the moment they can see that, the moment I saw that, well, now I'm in a place of giving love and not waiting for love to come and giving it unconditionally. Oh, I'm only going to do this because this, you're going to do that for me, or you're going to say that and then I'm going to say it. It becomes an ego battle of waiting for love to come from somewhere, like from your husband. It ain't going to come because it's already there. It's between husband and wife already there, but they're looking for it in the wrong place. And when people get married, it's like, oh yes, you're going to make each other so happy. Make each other so happy. How can you make someone happy? You can't. You absolutely can't. And so this verse is I love this verse because I see it so deeply since seeing the three principles. And there's so many more quotes in the Quran that I see so clearly because of the three principles. And it's just so beyond. It's your heart is opened to receive, and that's what the gift of insight is. Your kind of like consciousness is kind of awakened, and you're able to see. It's like you're coming out of the darkness and into the light, and wow. And it's like a moment of giving. You're not waiting to receive anything. And so everything calms down. This peace and tranquility is not out there. It's already within. And so this is the message that I give to my clients, and it blows their mind, to be honest, because they first come thinking they have to do something, like, oh, how do I change my husband and that kind of thing, and they leave without wanting to change their husband, and they leave with this peace and tranquility that's already there.
And the answer always lies, first you change yourself, then you look outside. It's always.
And that's what the Quran and Allah says.
Yeah. We have Maya has her hand up.
Yes, so. Maya. Hi.
Hello. I've just been really enjoying this conversation. So soft and peaceful. So one thing I wanted to share about oneness is that when I started studying the principles and started looking at religion differently, I went to church with a different feeling. So I started to not really listen to the words of the priests, and not really engaging in the text side, or the what you call it, the rituals, and I would just sit there and open up to the inner space, and that is where it was really. And like this huge space of whatever, like good feeling.
And what a difference that has made.
Really. So at one point I was wondering, like, if I'm with everybody here, why can't I see them? Never mind. So, and another thing that I noticed, because I had been curious, like, what is the mystery about the communion, that when we go to the to take the that small pieces of bread and wine, and they call it, this is the body of Jesus Christ, and this is the blood of Jesus. And I've been wondering, like, what is the meaning of this? Why do we have to eat this to sort of remember something that happened long time? I don't know.
It's ceremony, sweetie. It's ceremony.
I know.
So, ceremony is beautiful. It's like prayer.
I know, but let me tell you the insight that I got, because this is really stunning. Because what I felt then when I heard those words in a state of deep presence was that this is the body of Jesus Christ. This, right? And that is the oneness. It's pointing to it. We are it.
Yeah. Someone once asked Sid, "Are you Jesus Christ?" And his answer was, "We all are."
Yeah. So it's like everywhere is pointing to it, and you can choose to see the surface or the outside, and then there is another dimension.
Thank you, Maya. That was beautiful.
Thank you.
No, Ruby, when you were sharing before about we have so much love, or we can give so much love. I was just pondering on that, like, that is who we are. You know, what if we don't have to give that? It's so funny that as human beings, we look at, I mean, it's really funny because we were taught all kind of things, just like I was taught that I should wear certain clothes, or I was taught that I can learn certain things and certain things I can't. But when I walk outside and I go to the park and I see the trees, when I look around, I could see like 7, 8, 10 different kind of trees. The water doesn't care what tree it is, it waters everything. The trees don't look around and see, can I grow? Is there room for me? They actually help each other. I think that it's fascinating, the ability of humans, what we can learn. And if we can learn anything, we know that learning is not a truth. We could also unlearn. Anything that we learned from somewhere, and we see it doesn't serve us anymore. That was the gift for me of these principles. I saw that I can leave behind so many things. Mental illness, ideas about myself, ideas about my family, about how the world should be, about how people should change. No. How Sid said it, I think, is one person at a time, one shoulder at a time. And it seems that this is the beauty of the way this understanding, I guess, walks around in the world. And it's so fascinating that, to me, it just made me love my parents. Even though we have different views, couldn't do that before. I didn't know that I could do that before. It made me love my neighbors that I didn't. When I was a child, I knew I loved everyone, but I was taught, I learned different, and I saw that I could unlearn that. And that's beautiful in so many ways.
That's what it's all about, Yael. Yeah. We're all going through that, bit by bit, or big gulps at once. For me, what you talked about was when I just got happy and content and forgot about my problems. And then I looked back 4 years later and said, where did all my bad habits? Not all of them, but many of my bad habits drop away. When did I become a better human being, a nicer person? That's indigenous teaching. You're here to become a better human being. I love that. I want to be a better human being than I am right now, next year. That will make me feel proud of who I am. And if you can't feel it for yourself, you haven't got it. You have to, it's a personal experience with God in the impersonal. How does that work? I don't know. None of us understand it. All of us are just existing in it and saying thank you. That's all Sid was. Sid was a pawn, as like we are in the big picture. What is this show about? We think we're trying to change and help. But what Yael said, if we help one person, it shows a dynamic success. One person, it's a dynamic success. And I know for sure it's helped more than one person, because it's already helped me to find a sense of faith, that hope, a better hope, that what these two women, Omar, Maja, is talking about is the right way. There's a right way to healing. Healing is final.
You know, a thought is coming to my mind is that it's when we look at it like Sid did in terms of beyond the word, and you don't even have to say anything. You don't have to do anything. And that awakened moment, or in that state of awakening, so connected to oneness, it's beyond words. You don't have to say anything. And that other person, so for example, your husband or your child, is in the same room, words are not even necessary, because now state of presence is all around you, and other people get to enjoy it. And we don't even have to do anything. Wow. How beautiful is that? Effortless. It's called effortless state of peace that spreads. And that's what we are here to do. And it reminds me of one of the missions of our prophet, peace be upon him, was to spread peace. That's it. Spread peace. It just blows my mind that we can spread this effortlessly. You don't have to go to a rally or a march or anything. It's available to all, anytime, any moment. Time's not even a thing.
That was Sid's first book. He called it Second Chance. And the words you voiced is exactly the words he voiced. Every moment, every second of your life, you have a second chance. How simple is that? How perfect is that? The past is dead, guys. It's over. This is now. Well, Omar, maybe we can, if you would like to say a few words, and maybe we can roll with the feeling.
Sure. I think it's a really good place to end this beautiful conversation. I really enjoyed today's conversation. Really enjoyed what Yael and Ruby shared, and Maya and all of you really, and Harry, of course. I think this is one of the most important topics to share about, because I think for some it's really taboo, or kind of scared to share on that. And I think we really must share what there is to share. You know, a lot of people are hurt, you know, from both sides, but we are not talking about both sides here. There is only one side here. We are all human beings playing this game of life, right? And you're just caught up in our made-up illusions about life, people, religions, you know, countries. But beyond this all, we are a pure soul. And I always love sharing this quote by Moji, and he said, if you could look inside the heart of any and every single human being, you would fall in love with them completely. if you see the inside as it really is, and not as your mind projects it to be, you will be so purely in love with the whole thing. That's why I want to finish this conversation with. And
I have something. Just in 2 weeks, we have Professor Abdallah and Rabbi Shaul coming on, but Professor Abdallah is he has to translate for a renowned Muslim scholar that day. I'm trying. Both Rabbi Shaul and Professor Abdallah very much want to come together and share, very much like Ruby and Yael has, but it won't be in 2 weeks. It'll be, we'll try and get it done before February sometime. I just can't, it's just a question of the scheduling and so on. So I just want to mention that this month we've kind of dedicated it to this kind of topic. And as Omar very astutely stated, we don't have to run away from these delicate topics. They're full of opportunity for us to come together. I'm tired of people being apart. I tell you, it hurts my heart so much. And Ruby had the privilege of working with all the Muslim women in Back to the Fitra and other places. They have changed me, just like Yael has changed me, helped me to appreciate the Jewish people and so on. Even though I'm Jewish, I've never really taken to it. And it's a funny way to say it, but I like the food.
And the jokes, Harry. There you go.
Okay.
And on that note, thank you all for being with us today. Thank you again, Ruby and Yael, for being and sharing this space with us. And I'll see you in 2 weeks, everyone.
Or
Thanks all.
not 2 weeks, but somewhere in that range. Yeah.
Somewhere in that range.
Yeah.
All right.
And
Rabbi, thank you.
oh, thank you two ladies. You really made a very special show today. And both of you beautiful. And when I said you both had beautiful feelings, I meant it. You really, really shared beautifully and really enriched. In this time of turmoil, you guys showed the way.